Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the information session on higher studies opportunities under Chevening Scholarship Program, organized by the International Relations Office of the University of Peradeniya with collaboration of the British High Commission. I'm Shamali Tennakon from the International Relations Office, and I'm happy to be your host for today's program. It's 9:03 a.m. and we are going to start the session. Please be kind enough to turn off your video and microphone, and please be free to put your question. We will try to provide answers to them as much as possible. First, I would like to invite Professor C.N.R. Alas, Director International Relations Office, University of Peradeniya, to deliver the welcome address.
Okay, thank you, Shamali. Good morning, everybody. I'm Professor Alas. Actually, I'm the Director, International Relations, University of Peradeniya. And same time, I'm working at the Faculty of Medicine as a professor there and the head Department of Biochemistry. And so, first of all, actually, I would like to welcome Miss Ayuni Munasinghe, Communications Manager and Chevening Office Sri Lanka of British High Commission. And also I would like to invite all the participants for this information session on higher studies opportunities under Chevening Scholarship Program. Actually jointly organized by the International Relations Office of the University of Peradeniya with the collaboration of the British High Commission. I think this is going to be a very fruitful session for the participants, and thank you all for participate or logging for this webinar. Thank you all. Shamali, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Miss, now I would like to invite Miss Ayuni Munasinghe, Communication Manager and Chevening Officer, Sri Lanka, British High Commission, to carry on the webinar here on. Miss Ayuni, over to you.
Thank you, Shamali. Thank you, Professor Alice, for those kind words. Hi, everyone. Good morning. As I was introduced, my name is Ayuni Munasinghe, and I'm the Chevening Officer at British High Commission. I'm joined today, actually, by our political advisor, Kip Minahewage. He will be talking a bit about the priorities for UK in Sri Lanka as well. So if any of you have questions about the kind of subject priorities that are important to UK and Sri Lanka relations, he is here to answer any of your questions. Sorry, can I ask everyone to mute? I hear the vibration otherwise. So just on the structure, I have a very short presentation. It's about 50 minutes. And I'm hoping to answer a lot of your questions through that. But we will definitely have a Q&A right afterwards, so you can ask any questions that you have, and just remember, no question is stupid. Every question, as much as we know, we will answer. If not, I will give you an email or a way that you can get your questions answered. So just before we start, I have a very small video from the president of our Chevening Association. Shamli, just let me know if you will be able to hear this.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Shamli, you guys can hear, right?
We can hear.
President of the Chevening Alumni Association Sri Lanka. And I'm about to share the exciting news that the Chevening scholarships are open for applications now. Chevening scholarship is a wonderful opportunity for all Sri Lankans to apply to improve the leadership skills, improve the networking skills, and bring back something to Sri Lanka after your studies in the UK to help develop the country. So I encourage all of you to go to chevening.org and start your application. I'm pretty sure it's going to be an unforgettable experience in your life, so go for it.
On that note, we can get started. So I know this is a bit virtual, but we'll try to make it a little physical. So just with everyone that's here, who here has heard about Chevening scholarships? You can raise your hands in the chat bar. Okay, that's good. That's good. All right. All right. Can I just ask that everyone can see my screen?
Yes, we can hear. We can see. Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, so Chevening scholarships. I'm just going to take you through, what the scholarships are, who can apply, who's eligible, what the sort of subjects that the scholarship sort of has that you can apply for. And a bonus of this presentation is you get a little bit of insight into, what the actual application is. Okay, so what are Chevening scholarships? The Chevening scholarships are the UK government's global scholarship program. It is funded by the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office and partner organizations. The scholarship is available in over 160 countries across the globe, and they are designed to support a one-year master's degree in any subject at any UK university. So there have been a lot of questions about whether law, engineering, arts, English, whether those subjects are sort of available. What are the key subjects of Chevening? So one of the bonuses of Chevening is that there is no such thing. You can apply for anything that you want. So there's not only just 5 or 6 universities on the list. When you go on the Chevening website, you can see a lot of UK universities that have partnered up with the scholarship over the past years. Okay, so sorry about that, you guys. As you know, technical difficulties still are a problem 3 years later. Okay, so who are Chevening scholarships aimed at? Chevening scholars are people who are passionate about creating change in their home countries. They're good at building relationships, they're resilient, determined, and have short, mid, and long-term plans for achieving their goals. Chevening scholars, with their networks, with their education, with their professional experience, they tend to rise to prominent positions in their countries and in their chosen fields. One of the catch things in Chevening scholarships, I've been told this is quite odd, and I agree, because one of the aims of Chevening scholarships is that you study in the UK, you get your education, any professional experience that comes with it during your year in the UK, and you are required to come back home for 2 years. So one of the conditions of Chevening is that you come back and you give back to your home country. Okay, so in order to be eligible to submit an application, there is no age category. Anyone and everyone can apply. I think the age is actually you have to have an undergraduate degree and at least 2 years of work experience. The 2 years of work experience has always been a question that has come up, is internships counted? Is unpaid work counted? Yes, it is. So if you have volunteered with a voluntary group, whether it's, Rotaract, Isaac, the different groups that are out there, those actually do count. If you've done an internship, spanning a year, those are work experiences that do actually count. You have to have an undergraduate degree. There is a question from people in the legal field, whether their attorneys are counted. Yes, it's actually counted as something as an undergraduate degree. Sri Lanka is already a citizen. Sri Lanka is already a country that is under the Chevening eligible scheme. So if you have a Sri Lankan NIC or a passport, automatically eligible for the scholarship. And one of the conditions is that you have to have previously not received any UK government funding to study in the UK. So one of the conditions is that before being awarded a scholarship, candidates must hold an unconditional offer from at least one of their 3 course choices. So this is something that I'll explain as we go on. All right, what does a Chevening scholarship cover? It covers basically everything. So your full tuition fees is covered, so you do not have to worry about any fees related to the university as well. If you are, however, applying for an MBA, there is a cap of £22,000. There is a living allowance that is at a set rate for one individual. So Chevening sponsors only the person going for the scholarship. So this living allowance covers accommodation, food, transport, your day-to-day expenses as well. Based on where you're applying for university, based on how you're planning to live, it's quite a decent allowance that allows you to get by as well. Your economy flight to and from your home country is covered for, including your visa. Any additional grants to cover essential expenditure. So every year, Chevening has events in London or in other parts of the UK that they encourage scholars to come for. Some are essential, some are, by choice. So anything that you want to go for that's streaming related, they will cover those expenses as well. So I'm seeing messages come in the chat bar. I'm not going to open it yet, but if there's anything urgent, just please unmute and speak. What else does a Chevening scholarship offer? So in addition to covering all of your expenses there, there's a lot of networking opportunities. So one of the reasons why Chevening emphasizes on networking from their application to their interview, and also once you become a Chevening scholar, is because part of a large chunk of the program is getting to know your peers, getting to know your colleagues, and also, engaging professionally, personally, academically with different circles, and bringing back those networks, those contacts to your home country and taking advantage and making use of them, whether it's by learning, whether it's by collaborating. So we've had alumni that have come back and done regional projects with their peers, sometimes with their lecturers. They've started doing webinars and information sessions such as this across the globe, that focus on alumni and what they have done, what they have achieved. So there are exclusive networking opportunities while you're a scholar and even after you come back and you be an alumni. So the scholarship has been around for 30 years, over 30 years now. So the alumni pool globally is close to 50,000. In Sri Lanka, we have close to 200 scholars, 200 alumni. So upon finishing your scholarship, you will be joining them as well. So some of the exclusive networking opportunities available are internships at BBC, volunteering opportunities, and Chevening organizes fun events like relay competitions and picnic days. Definitely not cricket days, but maybe like football or rugby days as well. So these are just from the last few years, things that they have been able to do. If you become a Chevening scholar, there are exclusive professional opportunities that are available to you depending on the field that you are in. So if you are an international relations student, you can apply to different courses, different internship, professional opportunities that are available, whether it's visiting Chatham House, whether it's visiting Parliament. If you apply in the legal sector, there's sometimes universities organize something for them to visit courts, to sort of have a mentor session with judges and lawyers. So depending on where you're applying, the Chevening does have a sort of lot offered on the plate. All right, and the alumni community. This is usually my favorite part. They're usually very active and very helpful. So if you do become a Chevening scholar, you don't just join a massive global network, which you can tap into at different stages as you want. You also join a very close-knit cohort in Sri Lanka. So the program has been running since 1983, and since 1983, Sri Lanka has been a part of this program. We've had 1-2 scholars go way back when. They are still part of a lot of events here. There are lovely stories where, you know, the people who went quite early on, you know, they've met Prince Charles, they've met the Queen, they've engaged with the royal family on different occasions that have been available to them back then. So Chevening alumni really form the backbone of this program. You know, they do a lot of promotion, a lot of marketing without us knowing. A lot of it stems from just themselves, you know, sort of being leaders in their own field. I mean, I don't mean people, you know, who make the front page every day or every week. I mean people who are doing a lot in their communities, a lot in their field. We have very skilled professionals in the ranges of, you know, climate change, gender equality, journalism, business, law, and many, many other fields as well, something that I'll get into soon. So these are just some few notable alumni globally. So the president of Costa Rica was actually a Chevening alumni. The secretary for education in Kenya was a student at University of Oxford as a scholar. And, you know, yeah. In Sri Lanka also, you might think that, you know, this is just global, but it's not. We have a very illustrious community in Sri Lanka. One thing is that it's very difficult to get them to pose for a picture. So as you can see, they're all smiling and laughing in this. This was from an event that we had recently with the alumni, and they came together to wish the new scholars who are off to the UK. Yeah, so in Sri Lanka, I'm hoping some of you might have heard of these people, maybe know them. Dr. Vinyari Ratna, who is the leader of the Sarvodaya Shramadana movement, was actually a Chevening scholar. Former Chief Justice Shirani Bandaranaike, Jivanti Senanaike, who works at the Presidential Secretariat, and Ambika Satkaranathan, who is a lawyer and human rights advocate. So these are all people who have, you know, gone on the Chevening Scholarship once upon a time, not in recent times. But I mean, these are people you see, people you've seen in the news, people you've seen who work in the community. And, you know, once upon a time, there were students just like yourselves, you know, just traveling and, you know, looking to enhance their professional and academic capacities as well. So the scholarship is not completely out of reach as well. This could be you someday. Just on a more relatable note, we have a couple of alumni and current scholars from local universities as well that have gone in very, very recent years. So this is actually from the past 2 years. I'm hoping some of you know Sachinder, who is a lecturer at University of Peradeniya. Nalanga Hetiarachi was also a lecturer there. Elijah was a lecturer at Eastern University. Nishant is a lawyer based in Jaffna working with the Ages Department. Aisha was a student at Open University, and Hasra was a student at University of Kelaniya. So these are all students who did their bachelor's and did a few years of work experience and decided to go for Chevening. So this is a very accessible scholarship for anyone in any field. All of them studied very, very different fields and followed, you know, the path that they wanted. These are some scholars and some alumni from University of Colombo, actually. So on top, we have Umesh Mormudi and Senavani Arachi, who went in within the past 5 years, and both of them were the Chevening Alumni Association presidents as well. Chiranti and Tarindu, they got back last year after finishing their scholarship, and Ruanti and Niroshi just finished and came back to Sri Lanka just a couple of days ago, actually. So this scholarship is available. It's for anyone who is very passionate about the kind of work and the kind of subjects that they do and want to pursue it, want to learn more, want to develop, and you know, want to come back and give something to their country for its development as well. Okay, so just to quickly run you through the application and selection timeline. So applications usually open in the first week of August. So this year they opened on 2nd of August and they close in the very first few days of November. So this year it's 1st of November. And once they are, once the application period ends, your application directly goes to London. We actually have nothing to do with that process. The entire application process is online. It's on the Chevening website. So you start your application and you submit it to London. So they sift against the eligibility criteria, and then they start reading through your applications and seeing, you know, the kind of work that you have said and all. Then in January, February, you are short. If you are short, you might be shortlisted for an interview. You are then notified, and then we start conducting interviews. So from February to April is generally interview period. Interviews are done locally by quite a large panel. So we have UK-based staff, we have the Chevening officer, a policy officer, and also an alumni present for the interview. In June 2023, your results will be announced by the Secretariat itself once we send our results. And from 13 July onwards, you have to sort of, once you're selected as a scholar from the interview stage, you have to, there are admin things like, you know, getting your offer finalized from the university, getting your visas, getting your accommodation, etc. So that's very separate process afterwards. And then from September onwards, very successful applicants start their journey in the UK for a year as Chevening scholars. So that is roughly the timeline of how things happen. Sorry, we have censor. Okay, we're back. So if you are thinking of applying for a Chevening scholarship, you have 1 month, close to 1 month. One thing I will definitely advise, because what happens every year is on 31st of October, the website crashes. So please don't wait till the last minute to submit your application, because a lot of the time, everybody, this website is globally. So we have close to 10 to 20,000 applications every year that come through. Actually, definitely more than that. So people wait till the very last minute to submit an application, which is okay. That's definitely in our nature. We all do that. But I would definitely recommend not to do it, because a lot of people's applications don't end up going through the last minute. So do definitely submit your application at least 3, maybe 4 days in advance. That would be great. Any information on eligibility, on your timelines, on the online application system is available on the website. There is a lovely FAQ page right at the end that answers a lot of questions from when you are an applicant to when you are a scholar. So any specific questions that you might want answered could also be available there. Okay. So this is just a little bit of insight into the online application form. There are 4 questions, and this is roughly very similar to how your interview is conducted as well. You will be questioned on all 4 of these. The very first question looks at leadership and influencing. And what we are looking at is examples. We want to know situations, examples in where you have been a leader. This doesn't mean that you have to lead a project or lead a program, or you have to, you know, have been a head of team. It could be anything where you think you, you know, exude leadership qualities, where you influence people. It could be in a positive manner. It could be, you know, something that you did and you learned a lesson from, you know, on what should and should not be done as a leader. What we do encourage is examples from your university or from your workplace. There are a couple of applications that focus on school days, and while that is great, this is a scholarship program that looks at master's level. We want to know what you will achieve professionally in your professional and your academic life, in your postgraduate academic life. So if you can give work, internship, or voluntary, even college experience, that would be great. The second question is on networking, and this is a bit of a tough one, because a lot of people say that they work independently, they haven't had a chance to network. That is fine. It could be about how you plan to build your existing network. We've had some wonderful answers on people who have not had a massive network, but what they did to sort of develop their network, and how they intend to use that network, and how they bring back, if they become a Chevening scholar, how they will build networks abroad and bring that back to Sri Lanka, how they will use that network as well. The third question is on studying in the UK. So when you're applying for the scholarship, you have to select 3 courses, and you have to tell us why you have selected these 3 courses and how they are going to be relevant to your professional career. So this will include a lot of reading into your course. The very, very best answers that we have seen, some exceptional cases where they know the lecturers who are teaching in that course. And yeah, so one of the examples I can actually give you here is we had a student about 2 years ago who applied to University of London and 2 other very central universities, and also applied to University of Dundee, and this is not a very often applied for university, but in the application we saw that the reason that he had applied was because the program and the content of the courses that he wanted to learn that was relevant to his work was actually at the University of Dundee. So that was very specific, like he wanted to learn this course module, and this volunteer group, this professional association was available at this university, that's not anywhere else. So that level of detail shows how invested you are in the course that you want to follow as well. The career plan is actually a very good question. And the very, very best answers that we have seen focus on all 3, your short, mid, and long-term career plan goals. And a lot of it, I mean, is actually, again, some of the really good answers that we have seen focus on, I mean, we had an answer a couple of years ago where the applicant focused on what he will do immediately after he comes back to Sri Lanka, so within the first 2 years, then what he's going to do within the first 5 years, then what he's going to do in the long term, so whether it's 10, 15 years. But that's something that a lot of people do, but the beauty in that answer was just how he had connected, how each of them feed into his long-term goal. So he had a destination. What he did was detail out the journey and how each of them link to each other, and how the course that he follows, how this program in the UK was going to help achieve all of those goals. So I think each answer is only 500 words. So you have to really pick your words and choose which sentences you want to keep in as well. But that is generally a gist of, what the application looks like. So one of the quite frequent questions that I always used to get was, what are the popular subjects for Chevening? What subject do I have to choose in order to become a Chevening scholar? And the answer is fortunately in the next slide. So this is actually over the past couple of, this was actually from the past year, to be honest. We had a larger group than usual take on the scholarship. And as you can see, from artificial intelligence to sports medicine, to innovation and entrepreneurship, finance, technology, gender studies, human rights, architectural conservation, social development, international relations, cognitive and evolutionary anthropology, educational research, poverty and inequality, corruption and governance, archives and records management, economics, public health. As you can see, this is quite a array of different subjects that have actually taken on the scholarship. Directing film and television, very niche subject areas. As you also, no one person actually ends up studying the same as the other person. Even if we had a couple of people who studied law, but different aspects of law. It could be economics and law, it could be international relations and law, it could be law words that I really don't understand also. So this scholarship is open to all of the subject areas. So if you think that, the subject area that you want to pursue is, it's quite unique, it's not something that a lot of scholarships, will offer. That's not true. That's something that's very open. Chevening is very open to new ideas and to new sort of subject areas as well. So as long as the course that you want to follow is on the Chevening website, you're good. So on that, I'm going to turn to our policy advisor, Kitmina Hevage, who's going to talk a little bit about the policy priorities of the UK in Sri Lanka, just for you guys to get an idea of what UK is doing in Sri Lanka and what's important as well. This in no way means that you have to apply for those exact subjects, but this is for an idea for all of you who actually do ask questions on what the British High Commission is prioritizing in Sri Lanka.
Thanks, Ayuni. Hi, everyone. I'm Kit Minahevage. I'm the policy advisor at the British High Commission. As Ayuni has already mentioned, the applicants and those who have been selected to do for the Chevening scholarship kind of go across multiple subjects, and I think that also reflects the sort of work the British High Commission does in Sri Lanka. So, for example, we have a very wide-ranging relationship with Sri Lanka, with government, with civil society organizations, with other departments, kind of ministries, etc. And that includes and we have kind of focus areas. So some of these focus areas include subjects such as the environment. So for example, the UK recently hosted the COP26 summit. And in doing so, there was a lot of push towards environmentally sustainable development measures and support for developing countries like Sri Lanka. For example, during the Express Pearl disaster, the UK supported the Sri Lankan government in the cleanup. And so even when it comes to environment, there is a wide range of activities that the British High Commission supports. Then we have, obviously, the UK and Sri Lanka has a very strong trade and investment relationship. The UK is one of the biggest export markets for Sri Lanka. And of course, there are several big UK companies that have invested and created jobs in Sri Lanka, such as the London Stock Exchange Group, HSBC, Standard Chartered, and so on. So all in all, there's a very strong trade and investment relationship. Next, there is obviously the human rights relationship. The UK is very has focused on protecting human rights and ensuring that the human rights is taken as a priority in Sri Lankan policy. And I'm sure you have read the news. That's probably arguably the most covered the subject area in the news. In addition to that, we also have other focus areas such as health, particularly during COVID-19. The UK government collaborated quite a lot with the Sri Lankan government to provide funds as well as resources for maternity care, maternal wards in Sri Lanka that were suffering during the pandemic with regards to some resources, and also science and technology. So, for example, Jawaharlal University and the University of Oxford have collaborated together on a study when it comes to COVID-19 and the different variants that we have seen kind of evolving over the past few years to find a cure and kind of the vaccine and so on. So these are just a few policy focus areas that the UK has in Sri Lanka. Like I said, the Sri Lankan and UK relationship is very long and strong, and also is wide-ranging, which is why it's great to, when we meet, go for these meetings with different ministries. We sometimes meet ministry secretaries who are Chevening scholars, and others in civil society, even in academia. So it spans across all different fields. When we go for these meetings, we meet Chevening scholars, and it's a great opportunity for Chevening scholars to go to the UK, study and do a master's there, and come back and contribute to Sri Lanka. Hopefully that helps in terms of kind of getting a picture of what the UK's policy priorities are in Sri Lanka. I'm happy to answer any further questions if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you, Kit. So Kit will also be here for any Q&A that you guys have shortly, almost done. So just just to show you guys a couple of pictures to show you that this scholarship is real. So this is from a cohort a couple of years ago. They were actually the last cohort to be able to do anything Chevening related for 2 years, as in even meet in London together for the conference for 2 years because of COVID. This is from our current batch. Last year, we were able to send 14 scholars, and one of them is unfortunately missing from the picture, but they're the first batch to meet in 2 years and enjoy all the experiences that Chevening has to offer. This is from they went to the Sri Lanka High Commission while they were there. Exploring London together during the Chevening conference. You get to wear saris and whatever you like. This is also just to show that while the scholarship is very serious, we look at we want you to focus on your studies and be very academic. There is a fun side to it. You do make friends for life a lot because one, you have a shared experience, but also you get to network and sort of work with them once you come back as well. So there are professional relationships in this. This is our most current batch of scholars. This was from a few days ago, last week actually, where they met the Deputy High Commissioner before they went to the UK. Okay, so Chevening is very active on social media. There's a lot of information available from the past and present as well. They put out a lot of information, whether it's in written format, audio, video. You have access to a lot of information, tips for your application, tips for your interviews, and so on. So the website to go to look for Chevening is www.chevening.org. You can start your application there as well. I highly recommend that if you are starting your application, take down the questions and start it on a separate Word file. So then you can come back and just paste it in the website, as opposed to typing it in the website just in case. We have power cuts once in a way, network failures, so you never know. The Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram handles is Chevening FCDO. The LinkedIn is Chevening Awards. And I'm just slowly going to slide the Sri Lanka handles in here as well. So we are available on Twitter and Instagram at UK in Sri Lanka, and our Facebook page is British High Commission, Colombo. If you all want to follow anything on social media, sort of get to know Chevening stories, you can follow the hashtag #IamChevening, and there's a lot of posts and social media available on the different kind of experiences that scholars have. So that brings us to the end, and I will take any questions now. Kit is also here, so I will, do you want to come here? Sure. The two of us will sit down and see what questions are available. Okay. You can unmute and speak. That's not a problem, but I will also open the chat bar.
Thank you, Ms. Heidi, for providing such informative presentation. And no doubt it was very important for all our participants. Now we will go to the Q&A session, and please feel free to ask your questions. You can post the questions in the chat section. Also, you can ask your questions.
So I'm just going to start from the top. So the first question is, Do we have to provide service certificates to prove that we have working experience? Not yet, definitely not yet, but you will be questioned regarding your work experience, your professional affiliations during the interview stage. We do encourage you to use professional examples in your application as well, because one of the things that we want to see is how your academics are going to benefit your professional life, your career, etc. Is it mandatory to have 2 years work experience? Yes. So like I said, the 2 years can be anything. It can be volunteer work, it can be internships, it can be anything. It can be part-time work even. And one of the other questions, just going on to that we've had is, does your work experience need to be related to the field that you're studying in? Yes, it does. It doesn't have to be exactly, exactly in that field, but you have to show us why you have selected that field, why you have worked in that field, and why you intend to pursue studying in that field. One of the examples that I can give is, we've had students who've done a completely different bachelor's degree and then gone on to study a different master's. As long as you can tell us why you made the shift and what you intend to gain out of it, what you intend to bring back, that is completely fine. Okay, the next question is, should we need class with a degree? That is a very good question. The answer is actually, I have been told by the alumni, no. We've actually had a couple of scholars who have gone on the scholarship without a class as well. So you can, if you meet the eligibility criteria, you can apply for the scholarship. The next question is, are there any scholarships for PhD? Yes, there is, but not through Chevening. So Chevening focuses solely on a 1-year master's study in the UK. However, British Council has several scholarships available for PhDs and for masters as well. So I would encourage anyone who's looking to study a PhD or a different kind of masters that is not available via Chevening to go on the British Council website and check. They have a range of scholarships that are available for different avenues. The next question is, can we select mathematical subjects? Yes, you can. Like I said, Chevening is open to all avenues, all subject areas. And you can definitely, apply for any subject area that you are passionate about. And I think that's one of the very key things in Chevening. You have to be passionate about what you want to do and what you intend to bring back as well. The next question is, after we get our masters, can't we stay in the UK? Unfortunately not long term. The reason being, not because we want to force you to come back, but one of the key things of Chevening and what makes it a good scholarship is because it focuses on enhancing the professional and academic aspects of students on the scholarship, to send them back home. So, your education and your professional commitments are focused on developing your home country as well. We've had students who've done part-time work throughout the year. Your visa is valid till, so your academic year is from September to September. So for example, it will be from September 2022 to September 2023. However, you can apply for your student visa might actually be valid till February of the year after. So if you do have an opportunity to do some part-time work, a 6-month internship, you can definitely stay until your visa is expired. Come back before it's expired, actually. Can we apply for this program before we are getting a degree? No, because eligibility criteria is that you have to have an undergraduate degree in order to apply for this scholarship program. Can we apply with final year, second semester pending results? Because I have just, yes, we've actually had quite a few people apply with pending results. So you can apply. but you will have to submit your certificates once you complete your degree. So as long as you complete your degree before the interview phase, before I think December of that year. So if we have to submit you have to submit your applications in November. If you can submit your degree certificate by December, you should be okay. The next question is there any scholarship opportunities for health sciences? Yes, in Chevening, you can apply for any subject that you want, but there are very specific scholarships called STEM scholarships available through the British Council that you can apply for. The UK is a champion in climate and health in Sri Lanka. So there are scholarships available through British Council as well that you can apply for. The next question is, can we do a PhD after 1 year? Of course, you will have to come back to Sri Lanka to do it. There have been instances where, just one instance actually, where a scholar has traveled back to the UK after being in Sri Lanka for close to 1 year and 6 months to do his PhD. And he got permission from the Chevening Secretariat, and it's actually not a problem as well. Rashmi, is it possible to go for a PhD soon after the master's in another country? I don't know if I should answer that. I think it depends on how the secretariat, so there is a, sorry, I should have explained, there is a Chevening Secretariat in London that handles the scholarship and answers questions. They are the ones who go through applications and the interview results and sort of decide on who sort of makes it through. So if they are okay with sort of you undertaking a PhD, it's not a problem from us. But I do encourage everyone to look at what the scholarship sort of offers to you and what you intend to bring back. Academia, we do look at academia, but we also look at professional experience and what you bring to the table in terms of your professional development and your work as well.
I think what we're also looking at is how you use the scholarship to contribute back to Sri Lanka through your professional work. So I think in that situation, I think it's important that you demonstrate that you are actually keen to come back and contribute to Sri Lanka.
So our alumni do engage with the British High Commission, with British Council, with different organizations that we work with. So we do turn to our alumni, especially just as they come back, to help us with scholars, with our policy work as well. So definitely one to keep in mind. Can military persons apply for the scholarship? Yes, they can. We haven't received anything saying that they can't. However, I do encourage everyone to check for your eligibility on the Chevening website. It could be different for everyone actually. So do definitely check your eligibility on the Chevening website. Okay, the next question is, what are the basic essential documents requirements? All of that is available on the Chevening website. I think the very essential documents is a valid passport for sure. You could apply for your passport. I mean, once you get through to the interview stage even. Please don't keep it too late. Your degree certificate is definitely a requirement. We do look into that. Your 3 references, they definitely need to be submitted, and any documents that the application requires. But those are the very essential ones. The next question is, do we need to do IELTS or other English proficiency tests? Yes, you do. There was 2 years where Chevening had scrapped out IELTS because of COVID regulations that didn't allow people to do the test. So they accepted the university English proficiency test that you have to do. So when you're applying for universities, there is a proficiency test that you have to do. Chevening does accept that. And I think from next year they'll change and they'll want to have IELTS as well, as we are returning back to normally as well. So that's definitely something to check with your universities, because some universities don't have that proficiency test. So then you will have to do IELTS.
This is the university in the UK.
Yeah. Okay, the next question is there any chance to stay in the UK after 1 year if a job offer could be obtained during the academic year? That is actually a very good question. Unfortunately not, because when you apply for the visa, we provide you a letter. So you are given a student visa for close to 1 year and 6 months. So I don't think there's a chance of extending that visa. Unfortunately not. But what we've had people do actually is start doing part-time work while they're studying, just to sort of get experience. It doesn't have to be in your in an office environment. It doesn't even have to be in your field. Sometimes we had a scholar from 2 years ago. She was studying global mental health, and she said she found a lot of part-time work in very odd jobs, doing social media for her university, just updating their Instagram and their Facebook and giving them ideas on what they can do. She found a couple of neighbors that wanted a dog walker, so she found some quick cash in hand that way. We had one of our scholars last year do an internship at the at NHS, the National Hospital in the UK, for 1 year. He's still doing it, and he's planning to come back next month. So there are part-time opportunities, and you can convert that into a full-time opportunity as well once you finish your academic year and until you are required to come back based on your visa. Okay, the next question is, can you please describe what an unconditional offer letter is? That is actually a very good question. An unconditional offer letter is something the university provides you once you have submitted all of your documentation and you are eligible to study that course. So what they first offer you is a conditional offer that you have to meet, whether it's in terms of finances, whether it's in terms of academic transcripts, professional experiences. So when you apply for a university course, just like a scholarship program, there are different requirements that you have to meet. So if you meet 50% of them, you are provided a conditional offer. Until you meet the other 50%, what you have is a conditional offer. In order to make it an unconditional offer where you definitely have a spot in that course in that university, so it's about submitting all of the documents required. So if there are 10 documents that the university requires, you have to submit all 10 documents in order to be given an unconditional offer where you definitely have a place in that course. I hope that's clear. The next question is, can we do statistical subjects? Yes, you can. As we said, you can apply for any subject that you are passionate about. What we do focus on is why you are applying for that subject, what you intend to gain out of an education in the UK. Just, like as an example, actually, we've had quite a number of applications that were deemed ineligible from London because they didn't specify why Chevening, why the UK. So your answers have to be very specific as to why you are choosing the UK. Why is it different from Australia and Canada and US and any other countries that are offering great, absolutely wonderful scholarships as well. So why are you choosing this this scholarship program and this course? Okay, so I think that brings us, okay, we have one more. So the next question is it necessary to submit an unconditional offer letter at the time of applying for the scholarship? No, actually. And one of the reasons for this is because your Chevening application deadline is the first week of November, but your university application could open actually in December. So we don't actually need to know whether you've been accepted or not, and you're definitely not going to get an unconditional offer for at least 6 months from applying. So usually you get your unconditional offers only in June, maybe July. Some people are very lucky and they get them right away in like March or April. But your university application deadline could actually be after you've submitted your Chevening application. So that's fine. Sometimes there are some courses that open early on, so you could have already started your application by the time you submit Chevening. But you can also update your information for Chevening for those university courses, whether you applied or not, even after you submitted your application. But the courses that you select or you are planning to apply to should be set when you are applying for Chevening. So definitely the 3 courses that you select should be the ones that you apply for. If you do intend to make any changes and you do get selected for interviews, you are entitled to change just once we offer an opportunity in case you want to change your course. Okay, I think that brings us to the end of questions. Yes, we do, as I mentioned, Chevening is open for any subject area. If you are looking for very specific subject areas, such as health, science, even I think STEM, yeah, any STEM subjects, British Council has very specific scholarships that they offer as well. So do take a look at their website. So I'm actually going to turn to Kit here, who not only is our political advisor, he has also studied in the UK. He has also done his master's in the UK. So while I do encourage all of you to apply for the Chevening scholarship, I think you can also learn a little bit about what it's like to be a student in the UK.
Yeah, thanks, Irony. I mean, I really enjoyed my 1 year in the UK. So I studied at UCL, University College London. And so living in London itself is an experience because there's always something to do all the time. You just have to step out of the house and something is happening in the city. But broadly speaking, in the UK, because it's so I did my undergraduate in the US, which is a much bigger country, and therefore travel tends to be much more expensive. The UK relatively is much smaller, and it's much easier to travel around. So in addition to the academics, which is of course of a very high standard, it was also a great country to kind of visit. And it's also, you're also very close to Europe. Obviously, at the time, the UK was in the EU, so it was much easier. But it's also very close to Europe and kind of travel around. So there's a lot to do. It's not just the academics, because of course the universities are fantastic. Kind of you're taught by Nobel Prize winning professors. You're taught by some of the best in the world. But in addition, what's important is that kind of work-life balance. And that's a really important thing, and to kind of help with your mental health when you're doing a master's, because it's 1 year. So it's not easy. I'm not going to kind of sugarcoat it. It's a 1 year master's, and that's obviously going to be kind of academically rigorous. So it's important to have that balance. And in that sense, I think the UK provides a lot of opportunities.
Thank you, Kit. Are there any other questions? You can unmute and just speak if you want. Okay, I just have one last video. This actually is still not out on social media yet, so you all have a sneak peek into what we are planning to issue on social media.
Chevening really changed my life because it was just more than master's scholarship. I got the opportunity to not only explore my passion, but really just network with people from Birkbeck University of London. I also got to meet my friends in London, and I got to live in my favorite city for a year. So this is an invitation for anyone who is interested to apply for the Chevening scholarship.
Okay, are there any other questions? I just see one. Okay. Is that 2-year MSc programs also okay for this scholarship? Sorry, the question was whether 2-year MSc programs are also okay for the scholarship. So the UK actually offers only 1-year masters.
Very rarely there are 2 years.
There are 2-year MPhils, no? Usually. Unfortunately, they're not available for Chevening. We do emphasize on the 1-year masters as well. The scholarship is usually for 1 year. Yeah, so the thing with the 1-year masters is that it's very similar to doing a 2-year masters as well, because the UK academic year is quite rigorous. There's a reason why Chevening funds your not just your tuition, but also provides you a living allowance so that you don't have to worry about finances, so that you are free to sort of explore, not just in terms of personally, like just explore and travel, but also you don't have to worry about like making money and paying off loans or for your accommodation or whatnot, because it's quite a packed year of academia as well. All right. Any other questions before we close? So if you all have any questions that you want answered, very specific questions as well, you can always send us a message on our social media. If you have any other like very specific questions you'd like to answer, you can send us an email. I'm just sharing our email address with everybody, so everyone in the meeting. So do send us. Oh, sorry. Please ignore that. colombo.general@fcdo.gov.uk. So please use this. There's no way to use that message. So please use the second one. I saw someone's hand go up. Is that a mistake? Okay. All right. Any further questions? Limesha, yes.
Madam, I have just finished my exams, final year exams. So I am going to enroll for the IELTS by now. So should I need to, by submitting my application, should I need to submit the IELTS course for the, can you?
For Chevening as well. Once you start your Chevening application, if it does ask for it, yes, you can submit it as well. No problem. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, madam. Thank you.
Okay. No other questions?
Madam, I have a small concern, and
Yes.
thank you very much, sir. And madam, thank you very much for this informative session. So my question is, when we are selecting 3 courses, it should be from one university or other 3 universities?
It can be from 3 different universities. We've had instances where people select 3 courses from the same university. It's completely up to you guys, but you can apply for 3 very different universities. As long as you tell us why you want to go to that university and study that course, it's not a problem at all.
Actually, my concern is, madam, when I was searching some social media facts, they say that applying for 3 different universities is much more safer than applying for one university. Is that true?
That's a good question. I mean, there's no such thing as, like safer, but we do encourage you to apply for 3 different universities because the experiences could be quite diverse. There is a chance that your application for all 3 in one university could be rejected as well. So we do encourage you to apply for different universities to sort of search and see what other universities also have to offer. But we have definitely had instances where scholars have applied for 2 courses in the same university. So I think that's also fine. So it's completely up to you guys. It's very much on what you want to study and how you want to go about your course.
Yes, thanks, madam.
Okay, while I wait for someone else to unmute, there's a question. If we don't have class with a degree, then what kind of qualifications need to be fulfilled? As I said, I've been informed that the class isn't vital to apply for this scholarship. We actually had a scholar over the past 2 years who from University of Colombo itself, he didn't have a class when he applied for the scholarship, and not a lot of people thought he would get it because they thought that he needed a first class to sort of get. But if your degree marks match the eligibility criteria, you are just fine.
So I think some courses ask for a class.
Yes. So one of the most important things to remember is that your Chevening application is different to your university application. So sometimes you could be eligible for Chevening, the criteria, but you might not meet all of the university courses criteria. So when you're looking at university courses, do look at the criteria that they have and whether you meet them as well. I think this actually answers the previous question on the three courses from the same university. So make sure that you choose one of our key recommendations is that make sure you choose a course that you know that you might get into. I know it's very difficult to judge sometimes, you're never sure whether you get in, but if you meet the eligibility criteria and if your application, your answers are strong, then the chances of you getting into that course are quite strong as well. Any other questions? No? Okay. Going once, going twice. All right. Shyamali, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Saini. Well, with that, we have reached the end of today's program, and I would like to convey my sincere gratitude to all who made this webinar session successful. First of all, I would like to convey my sincere thanks to Ms. Ayuni, Communication Manager and Chevening Officer, Sri Lanka, British High Commission, who coordinated this event from the beginning and provided all the support, and also the colleague who joined with us today. Thank you very much, sir. I would also like to thank Professor C.N.R. Alas, Director, International Relations Office of University of Peradeniya, for his support and guidance. Last but not least, I would like to convey my sincere thanks to the staff members of INRO, including Mr. Sandake Dilivir, who provided the technical support. Finally, I would like to thank all the participants who are presented here today for joining us, and we hope it to be a valuable session. Thank you all. With that, we have reached the end of today's information session on higher studies opportunities under Chevening Scholarship Program. We will share the recording of today's program in our YouTube channel. So thank you again, Ms. Ayani, and also sir, for joining us today and give that very informative presentation and answering all the questions that were asked from our participants. It was very valuable for all our participants and also for us as well. So thank you very much again and have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Good luck with the application.